Today, Peter teaches us a very short prayer. If you get distracted when you pray, this prayer is so short that you cannot get distracted. And it's very easy to memorize. It's just 3 words. Lord, save me. A very powerful prayer to pray throughout our day. Father Maximo spoke of contemplation last week through the Transfiguration. This is a prayer that you can use in the day-to-day life. Lord, save me. It's what Peter said when he was sinking. And it implies a great statement of faith. The word Lord means Kyrios, God. It's a word to refer to God in the New Testament. And save me. Jesus, Lord, save me. I cannot save myself. I don't have enough strength to walk on water. So I need your hand. I need your help. That's what Peter experienced. In his sinking moment, when he was sinking, when he experienced the strength of the wind and was afraid of the waves, when he realized he could not face reality just with his own strength, that's when he became humble and allowed the power of Jesus to be unleashed in his life. In the first reading, the prophet Elijah goes to the desert and gets to Mount Horeb. It's chapter 15 of the first book of Kings. To understand why it's so important what happened when God manifested himself, not in the fire, not in the wind, but in the breeze, it's important to know what happens before, at the beginning of chapter 19. And I know you are not going to read it, so I just share with you briefly. The prophet Elijah challenges the 450 prophets of Baal to bring fire on the sacrifice. They were worshiping another god. So when they do that, fire doesn't come. But when prophet Elijah, who worshiped the true God of Israel, he calls on fire through the name of God, the fire comes. So then he succeeds, he wins, he puts into shame the 450 prophets of Baal. So he's victorious. But when the queen, Jezebel, she finds out, she was a Persian queen married to Ahab, that Elijah defeated and humiliated her prophets, she tells a messenger, go and tell Elijah that I'm going to kill him. So Elijah, he is afraid and begins to run. She's afraid of this queen. After the experience of the power of God, he forgets and he runs to the desert. And he reaches a point, as many prophets, where he says, enough, Lord, take my life. He lay down and fell asleep under the solitary broom tree. But suddenly a messenger touched him and said, get up and eat. He got up, drank, and then strengthened by that food, he walked 40 days and 40 nights to the mountain of God, Horeb. So basically he had a sinking moment. Enough, Lord, take my life. And he went to sleep. And he had a divine visitation. The angel says, get up, eat. You still need to go. So he received a strength of God to move forward. And this is very important. Because many times we end living on our own resources, with our own strength. And many times we can feel like Peter, like sinking, or like Elijah, with this fear and this discouragement inside, with a desire to give up. Have you ever felt like that? Have you ever felt that you're sinking, that you want to give up, that sickness, difficulties, sin, society is stronger than the strength you have to face it. That's what Elijah experienced. That's what Peter experienced, a sinking moment. And that's when the power of God can act. So what are your sinking moments? What are the sinking moments in your life that lead you to despair, that lead you to be like Elijah, I want to just sleep, take my life? What do you do when you experience a sinking moment? It could be a window of grace, but also it could be a window of sin. When you don't have the power to face reality, you can be tempted to avoid reality, to go to food, to go to TV, to go to the internet, or just to lay on bed like Elijah with a longing to give up. But both Peter and Elijah teach us that in those moments, we need to cry out to God and acknowledge that we don't have enough power, that we don't have enough strength. But He is there next to us to extend His hand, to give us His grace immediately, says the Gospel. When Peter said, "Lord, save me," immediately Jesus lifted him up and began to walk. And what happens when you experience His grace? You experience in your life the victory of Christ. This gospel, Jesus walking on water, is an anticipation or a symbol of the resurrection. Jesus walking on water means, the water in the Bible means evil and sin. So when Jesus walks on water, it's a symbol that He has conquered. He will conquer death. He will conquer evil on the cross and in His resurrection. So Jesus walking on water symbolizes the resurrection. And when Jesus calls Peter to walk on water, He's inviting him to enter the power and the victory of His resurrection. Although he struggles and he fails and he doubts, Christ lifted him up. And that's the same with us. Sinking moments, struggles in life, the wind of difficulties and sin and obstacles, they are good because they help you realize that God is there, that you can cry out with Him, and that you can experience in your life the power of His victory. St. Paul in the letter to the Romans says, "What will separate us from the love of Christ? Anguish, distress, persecution, famine, nakedness, peril, or the sword? No, in all these things we conquer overwhelmingly through Him who loved us." We conquer in an overwhelmingly way through the love of Jesus, who has already conquered death, who has already conquered evil. And that begins to be displayed in your life. And that's what Peter experienced, at least partially in this moment in his life, then completely after resurrection and Pentecost, and finally fully manifested in the second coming. But in this life, we begin to experience glimpses of His victory. So this week, when you feel tempted to give up, when you feel tempted to discourage, when you feel tempted to think evil is stronger in my life, when you cannot overcome temptation, when you feel you are sinking emotionally or physically or in whatever area of your life you sink, cry out. Pray. Go to Him that He may lift you up. And when He does that, afterwards, stay humble. When Peter walks on water, the Gospel says that they go to the boat. What a beautiful scene. He's lifted up. Jesus rebukes him a little bit. Why did you doubt, O little faith? And then they walk back to the boat. And when they got to the boat, only then the wind dies down. The peace of God flows through them. And all the apostles, says the gospel, worship him. Those who were in the boat did him homage, saying, truly, you are the Son of God. It was a divine visitation, a manifestation of his divinity, a manifestation of his power. And they witness it, and they honor him, they worship him. And the same in your life. When you cry out and you experience the grace of God at work in you, stay humble. Honor him, worship him, do him homage. So in this week, in your sinking moments, don't discourage. Don't give up. Don't think Jesus is not there. Don't doubt in his love. Don't seek false consolations. Pray to Jesus.